It's Friday, December 4th, and it's time for your Barbados Today morning news update. The Rastafarian community and the founder of a drug addiction counseling service welcomes the removal of cannabis from the list of the world's most dangerous drugs. But the head of this island's anti-doping agency is warning all concerned to tread carefully in seeking to benefit from this latest development. A United Nations Commission recently voted to remove cannabis for medicinal purposes from a category of the world's most dangerous drugs, a decision that could clear the way for an expansion of marijuana research and medical use. Chairman of the National Anti-Doping Commission in Sports Medicine, Dr. Adrian Lord, acknowledges that the removal is consistent with the global trend towards legalization of cannabis. He, however, issued this caution.
I hope it doesn't send the wrong message to persons, because it can be a it can be a terminology. You start with it, marijuana, and then go on to harder drugs. You have to be careful that people don't get the wrong impression that marijuana is not dangerous at all.
Okay.
Because we've seen several people who have suffered from the effects of marijuana use. So it's not for everybody and for all persons and any amount either. But from a sports perspective, you still need to be careful in the use of marijuana in competition, because it's still prohibited.
Founder of the Center for Counseling Addiction Support Alternatives, Orlando Jones, welcomed the declassification of cannabis.
I think it needed to be removed from that category as one of the most dangerous drugs. It was compared with things like heroin and cocaine and that sort of stuff. I don't really think that it really warrants that kind of category. So I do agree that it should be declassified in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right.
Because it's really not as dangerous as those other drugs, and the morphine and the heroin and the cocaine and those others. So the United Nations, in my view, have done the right thing.
President of the African Heritage Foundation, Paul Simbarok, told Barbados Today while the move is not ideal, it should open a space for more conversations for medical use. And prominent member of ICA, Ado Niger, he also welcomed the decision but expressed some reservations.
It is a welcome step, not the whole journey by any means. It's not the whole journey, but it is a welcome step, and any step in that direction is a good step. I think though that there's a lot that remains to be done, because really what we're seeing, not only locally but regionally, is a lot of one, step forward and 2 steps back kind of thing,
Right.
We need just to get serious with the issue and just deal it and give the people the right. Right. If they have come out and said that yes, you have rights, don't put some of the blocks in the way of having these rights realized.
Workers at Ready Mix Ltd are now on the breadline after they were laid off without warning yesterday. They were also locked out of their place of employment while attempting to collect the documents necessary to file for their unemployment benefits. President of the union's Ready Mix division, Andre Seeley, explained that the 61-member staff is usually laid off annually around December 18th until early January. This year, however, they were shocked to receive notification as they were leaving on Wednesday of the company's intention to lay them off on Thursday, December 3rd. In the correspondence, General Manager Graham Proverb told staff that the company had no alternative given current circumstances at this time. During a brief interview, General Secretary of the Barbados Workers Union, Tony Moore, declined to comment on the matter as discussions with the employer were ongoing. Efforts to reach the General Manager were unsuccessful. Chairman of the Intimate Hotels of Barbados, Mahmoud Patel, wants that body to undergo a major transformation coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic to become more sustainable and profitable. And he suggested that members focus on creating additional revenue streams instead of focusing solely on tourism. His suggestions for expansion projects include starting a cooperative and a solar farm, which could bring in much needed revenue.
So all of us have small hotels, maybe small roof spaces, but one of the things that we need to look at is energy security. So the EGFL is willing to walk with us and actualize and implement a solar farm that belongs to the IHB. We can find land. The BA&BC is already willing to give us 3 to 5 acres of land funded through the GFL, where all of us as shareholders can work out the square foot space or the usage of electricity plus some additional capacity. They're also willing to say, okay, we can finance this at a very reduced interest rate plus a longer term to repay. So the IHB can then earn money itself, the Secretariat, to move away from being dependent on state funding. And I would really, so in the next couple of weeks or next couple of days, we are going to sit with EGFL and maybe even have a grant fund to map out what we should do and implement, look for the relevant experts to give us the best opinion, find the cost, meet all the members to find out what their capacity is, and then try to actualize this project.
The chairman also pointed out that it was important for the organization to change the way it viewed tourism. He said small hotels could not afford to rely on tourism for their only source of income.
The future should be transformation is the recovery. Don't wait to stem the bleeding, normalize, and then look at recovery through transformation. Let's use transformation right now to lead the recovery.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
Regional news now. The Haitian Association in Guyana heads to the High Court to fight a deportation order of 26 Haitians. Gordon Mosley of News Source Guyana has the latest development.
The Association of Haitians in Guyana, through their attorney Darren Wade, has moved to the High Court seeking the dismissal of the deportation orders that were granted this week against 26 Haitian nationals who have been detained by the Guyana government. Chief Justice Roxanne George will hear the matter this evening virtually. Attorney Darren Wade reminded that the Haitian nationals have still not been taken before the court or charged with any crime, and therefore he believes the deportation orders granted against them are unlawful.
The Haitians who are currently in custody were not taken before the court, and as a consequence I believe that those orders are unlawful because everyone has a right to be ordered. It's a matter of natural justice that everyone be given that opportunity. And as a consequence, I would have moved to the court again to squash those deportation orders made by Madam Shordel Isaacs. That matter will come up this evening at 7 o'clock before Justice George, the Chief Justice, acting.
The group of Haitian nationals arrived in Guyana from Barbados 3 weeks ago and were all granted legal entry by the Immigration Department. However, one day after their arrival, they were all rounded up by the police and taken to the Hugo Chavez Center in Berbice.
And finally, Thousands of residents in South California fled their homes on Thursday to escape an out-of-control wildfire. More in this report from CBS News.
Sheer panic in Silverado Canyon as people race to escape an out-of-control wildfire.
We barely can get out.
Powerful winds pushing the flames in all directions, scorching an area larger than 3,000 football fields overnight.
We have watched over the past few minutes as this entire canyon has gone up in flames. We're talking about flames as high as 50 to 60 feet, where we are, a very remote canyon, but on the other side of it, a very heavily populated neighborhood.
Some who fled taking their ranch animals with them. By daybreak, the fire was still 0% contained.
This fire is driven by dry vegetation and high winds. We're talking about gusts up to 70 miles per hour. You can see firefighters here on the ground trying to stop this blaze from spreading.
Police believe the blaze was sparked by a house fire. Doug Sweeney has lived through many fires, but none like this.
After being out here for 30 years, I've seen a little bit, but this is definitely the most that's come down the hill. Firefighters are working to protect these homes from the flames in what has been a historic wildfire season for the state of California. More than 4 million acres that burn, and with every minute that number grows. The red flag warnings continue through Saturday.
That's news. But for the very latest, visit us at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media in bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.